Hi guys. So today we're going to focus in on a couple of exercises or positions that we would use to help with lower back pain or sciatic pain. I had a unfortunate incident with a badly placed child's toy last week that I fell and I had some stretching in my right side, so I've been dealing with some pain in those areas. So I thought this might be a good time to talk about what we can do to help with sciatic or lower back pain. So we're going to start with just a basic forward fold. So what we're going to do, coming over into the top of our mat, we're grounding into our mountain pose. So we're just going to, take a moment, make sure we have that micro bend in our knees, engaging the thighs and backside, making sure our core is engaged, shoulders are dropped away from our ears, chests are out and open, crowns of our heads being drawn towards the sky. And just thinking here, taking a few breaths. There are a lot of times when we may be in an office setting where we feel like, we need to stretch. Maybe we've been sitting for too long, or we have these minor injuries that are causing us some issues. These are just a few things we can do in confined spaces if we need to. Our lunch break, whatever. And from here, we're inhaling our arms up. Exhaling, bending at the waist, bringing those hands down for our forward fold. Now, depending on where you are with your forward fold, you may only be here. We don't want to lock out our knees, so we always want to make sure that we have that micro bend in our knees, but maybe our hands are off the mat and we're just dropping forward. Crowns of our heads are being drawn towards the floor. And if we can get any further, maybe we take that to fingertips touching the mat. Just really allowing gravity to do its work here. Letting go, maybe rocking side to side, keeping that micro bend. We can always take a hold of our elbows if we'd like to. That helps to just draw that body forward. We stretch out backs of the legs, thighs, and the hips, and the lower back. If this is uncomfortable, then again, we can go to whatever comfort level we're at in our forward fold. But we want to hang out here just to stretch, just to feel the release of all that pressure that we carry around with us all day. Breathing through our forward fold. From here, we're just going to take our hands flat on the mat, and we're going to bend our knees. We're going to step back with our right foot, and then with our left, coming into a brief down dog here. Just as we transition down, bringing our knees to the mat. From here, we're going to line up, and we're going to do some cat and cow. So pressing in with our hands onto the mat, our hands are going to be like starfish. Our fingers are going to be spread apart from each other. We're going to press down. We're going to stack our shoulder joints, shoulder, elbow, wrist. We're all going to be stacked in one straight line. Our back is flat. We're going to make sure that our feet and our knees are hips width apart, pressing in with the tops of our feet, our shins, and our knees. And from here, we're going to wait for our next exhale. And we're going to exhale into cat. Arching that back, tucking the tailbone under. You can see when you start out in our neutral spine, when we exhale into cat, we're tucking that tailbone under, we're arching those shoulders, hunching that back, just stretching out, pressing in though with the tops of our feet, pressing in with the hands,
engaging the core and breathing in our cat. On our next inhale, we're going to drop that belly down. We're going to take the tailbone towards the sky, looking up, gazing forward or up towards the ceiling. Again, trying to keep that core engaged as we press in through the hands and the feet and the shins. Just trying to make sure that we're still being active. As we wait for our next exhale into cat, we're going to flow on our breath. Inhaling cow and exhaling cat. Taking the time to just feel that pressure and tension releasing in our back. Holding here in our cat. And holding in our cow. And back to our neutral spine. And that's our cat and cow. And we're going to sit back over our heels. And for our next exercise or position, we're going to move into our modified camel. So with our modified camel, coming up off of those heels, we're going to take our hands out in front of us, and we're going to move them into fists. And we're going to take our right hand, coming down at the base of our spine, pressing in above that right hip. Or excuse me, beside the right hip. We're going to take that left fist and just press in on the left side. From here, breathing, we're going to arch slightly in that back for our modified camel. And just really focusing in on not going too far, just enough to stretch out that sciatic. On our next exhale, I'm going to release those hands back in front of us as we sit back up straight. That's our modified camel. Coming back down over our heels, we're just going to reach forward into a child's pose, just to stretch out from that back bend. Inhaling back up. We're going to take our hip to the mat. We come to a seated position with our legs out long in front of us. Just like we did our forward fold, standing, we're going to do our seated forward fold. Toes are going to be pointed towards the sky. Palms are flat beside us. Inhaling our arms up. We're dropping those shoulders away from our ears as we exhale forward. However far we can. Maybe we can only come to here in our forward fold. Maybe we can stretch a little bit further, but we always want to remember that we want to keep a straight back, so we aren't trying to hunch over to get further into a forward fold. We just want to reach into our forward fold. Now when we are able, loosened up, if we find that we're able to really stretch and fold ourselves in half, that's fine. But right now we're focused on just going to wherever our body is allowing us to. And when you're experiencing sciatic pain, you're not going to be forward folding yourself in half. So whatever level you're at. And we're going to take our palms flat as we inhale up and exhale Again, inhaling, arms up. Shoulders dropping away from our ears as we exhale forward. If we'd like, we can always take a hold of our toes and just deepen that stretch if we're able, but we don't have to. We're going to stay wherever is comfortable for us, leading with our hearts and just breathing through that stretch. Hands flat as we inhale up and exhale. And that's our seated forward fold. Now we're going to take it another step. We're going to take a hold of one leg or the other as we gently lower ourselves down to the mat. We're just going to take a hold of our knees, drawing them in. Maybe rocking gently here, giving ourselves a little back massage. Just feeling that tension release. Bring our heels towards our sit bone. They don't have to be up against our sit bone. They can just be, wherever's comfortable for us, whatever level is going to be comfortable as I scoop back down on my mat. So, with our heels at our sit bone here. Now, what we're going to do is our bridge. So we're going to have our palms flat and looking up at the ceiling. We're just going to arch our pelvis off the mat to whatever level we can. If you can only take it a very short arch, that's fine in your bridge. We're going to inhale up. Now, I tend to roll my shoulders under. So normally we're starting here, we're lifting ourselves up into our bridge. I like to roll my shoulders under to help support and take some of that pressure off of my knees because it does tend to give me some issues. And then lifting my pelvis up off of the mat. And then exhaling back to the mat. We can flow in our bridge, inhaling up and exhaling. And again, we're only coming up off the mat as far as is comfortable. So maybe just have a slight lift. Maybe midway or a little bit further. We're focusing on our movement to breath, inhaling up and exhaling. And you can do a few sets, a few flows through your bridge. And coming back, bring our hips back to the mat. Again, we're just going to bring our knees towards our chest. Rocking again, just making sure that we're taking care of ourselves off of those back bends. Bring our heels back to the mat. The next thing we're going to do, when you bring your heels down, when you're laying flat on your back, a lot of times you're going to notice that there is a space between your back and the mat. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at removing that space. So we're going to tuck our tailbones back, flattening our back to the mat to remove any space there. So literally our back is as flat to the mat as we can take it. And the way that we do that is by pressing down through, tucking our tailbone under. Relieving some of that pressure. And releasing now, allowing that space to be created. Inhaling, tucking those tailbones down. Exhaling, creating that space. And you can flow through that as many times as you'd like. As we come back to our neutral spine. Now, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take our right ankle over our left knee. From here, we're going to draw our knees toward our chest. And we can draw them toward our chest, just like this, holding on to each knee. Or, if we're comfortable, we can take and thread that right hand through that space, grabbing hold of that beneath that knee as we draw our legs toward our chest. If we're able. If that's too uncomfortable, then just go back to having your hands placed on your knees. You can draw that right knee back, pushing back on that, or just hanging out, feeling that flexing in the hip. If you have gone and threaded the needle, you just want to breathe through that stretch. On our next exhale, we're releasing our hands. Exhaling again, we're dropping that left foot back to the mat. Exhaling again as we bring our right foot to the mat. Now taking our left ankle over our right knee. Again, we're going to draw those knees up towards our chest. We can hang out here, or we can thread that left hand now, taking a hold under the right knee as we draw those knees toward our chest. Again, we're going to feel that in our hips, in our back, so you definitely don't want to push too far. If you're having issues with that, then you just hang out. Maybe you can press a little bit on that left knee. Maybe you're just going to, hang right here. Breathing through that stretch. Exhaling as we drop that right foot back to the mat. Exhaling as we bring our left foot back to the mat. And our feet are back with our heels toward our sit bone. If you need to, anytime counteracting those stretches, just bringing our knees to our chest, really taking a second. Bring those heels back to the mat. Next thing we're going to do is our supine spinal twist. So from here, with our feet placed on the mat, we're going to take our right leg long, and we're going to take our left arm out long at our side. And we're going to shift our weight to our right hip. We're going to take a hold of our left knee with our right hand, and we're going to draw that knee across our body and look over our left shoulder. Now we want to make sure that that left shoulder is not coming up off the mat. So if you're stretching and your stretch is taking that left shoulder off the mat, you need to back off of that stretch. That shoulder should stay on the mat. We're just gently stretching across our body, noticing that, whatever level we're at, you can't stretch as far, then you just back off of that stretch. If you're going to deepen your stretch, you only want to do so on the exhale. So as we inhale in, we stay where we are. When we exhale, maybe we deepen that stretch. And on our next exhale, we're going to release that leg back to the mat, bring that arm back. We're going to shift our hips back to center, bringing our right heel back to our sit bone. We're going to take our left leg long. We're going to take our right arm out at our side. Now we're shifting our weight to our left hip as we use our left hand to draw that right knee across our body. Again, being mindful that we don't stretch so far that we take that that right shoulder off the mat. Gazing over, if we can, gazing over our right shoulder. Again, only stretching, and I can tell you this is the hip that gives me the problem. This is the area that I have the issues. I can't stretch as far on this side, but I can definitely feel the relief and the stretch from it. So we breathe through. And then on our next exhale, we're going to release that leg back to the mat, bringing that arm back in. We shift our hips back to center. We're going to take both of our legs long on the mat. And from here, we're just going to take a few moments and relax in our resting easy pose, corpse pose. Feet are falling apart from each other. Arms are resting, palms up at our sides. And we can just take a few breaths here after those stretches that we've performed. Getting our minds ready to either return back to work, start our day, end our day. And when we're ready, we're going to shift our weight to our side as we use our hands to help us back up to a seated position. And that is just a few exercises that you can use throughout your day, throughout your week, at home or at work, to help to relieve some of that pain and pressure you might be feeling from any lower back injuries or sciatic issues. If you have questions about them, please reach out, let me know. We can also discuss, other things that you may have questions about, other poses that might help with different things. If you have questions, please feel free to let us know. I will see you again soon. Thank you for joining me today, remembering we can accomplish more together than we can apart. Namaste.